Hello, Gary. This is Derek, and I am coming back at you with another Wargaming and miniature video. In this video, we're going to continue on with my O group update. And in today's update, I'm going to be showing you some close-ups of my paratrooper, U.S. paratrooper battalion and supports. So I just recently finished these tonight. And so I wanted to share this with you, and I wanted to show you, I did a video showing you how I paint these, and now I want to show you the end result of my efforts. So we have 3 companies with their 3 platoons and their 3 combat patrols and their company headquarters. So this is Company Tan, Company Black, and Company Red. So the company headquarters and the combat patrols I color-coded around the outer edge of the bases just so that you could keep track of whose company is which one on the table. And then also on the back of the bases, that's why they're all facing backwards. On the back of the base, I put a 1, a 2, and a 3 on the platoons. So if you wanted to keep track of them that way, you could. I put a couple of deuce and a halves out here, but I'm going to replace those with jeeps at some point. Right now, just for playability, those will be the toes for my anti-tank guns. These are Pack 75s. I'm using these as the off-board artillery. These are the tokens that you use to keep track of how many fire support options you have. And the pack came with 3, so I made 3. I do believe that I think the defender normally gets 2 and the attacker normally gets 3. So this is just a good option to have 3 off-board artillery tokens. And then I also finished my Bowetta base, which is the battalion commander, and there's enough space in here to put a die down inside there. I also put together a German grenadier battalion commander, because I had already finished the German grenadiers, but I didn't have their battalion commander base done because I was waiting for the Bowetta bases to come in. And when they came in, I went ahead and put together both of the battalion commanders. All right, so we got our FO right here with a Jeep. We got our 3 medium machine guns. I've got 3 bazooka teams, 3 60mm mortars. And then I also have the 81mm mortar. I got 2 of them. This is not a necessary piece. These pieces are not necessary. This is not necessary. These are all off table, right? But I put them on table anyway, just as at the table edge, just as a reminder of all the support options you have. Okay, and so this is, and then so what I want to do now is I want to put the camera up a little bit closer, put the turntable on it, and let you actually see what you get. All right, I wanted to start off by just showing off the German battalion headquarters. I decided to put 4 figures on my battalion headquarters, and there's enough room there to place a die. I have all these dice holders, but they seem to be just a little bit too small for the die that I was thinking. I think I need 16 millimeter, and I think I purchased 12 millimeter, which is fine. And the size of them are okay. I could probably place it right there and just paint it up as like wood, supports or whatever. But I don't think I need it. I think I could probably just put one little piece of wood across the back, and it would be a perfect dice holder. I put a little machine gunner in there and the prone. I got this officer there with his pistol out. Painted these guys up with it. I decided not to cut their individual bases off, and I also decided not to drill a hole into the base. I could have drilled a hole and countersunk the figures, and then, or I could have cut the bases off of the soldiers, but I thought why go to that extreme? There's no real need for all that. I even considered putting maybe a little bit of putty around them to disguise that they're standing on a base. But I said, no, I'm not going to worry about it. These guys, they look pretty good just the way they are. All right, so that's my German Grenadier battalion commander. Now, these battalion commander stands, I've been sitting them on my desk and really enjoying the diorama sitting on my desk. I'm kind of just as an art piece, actually. All right, let me show you the next one. All right, this is the American battalion commander. Did the same thing. I didn't cut them off of their bases. I didn't countersink them or anything like that. I didn't think it was really necessary. And I really enjoyed painting these vignettes. I think they came out looking really good. I hope you enjoy it. Battalion commander, and there's a couple of radio men in there as well, and I'm debating on whether or not giving them some antennas. I think I'm going to eventually maybe drill a small hole in the back of their radios. Like this guy's radio's on the ground and this guy's radio's on his back. And then, or maybe his main radio's on the ground and he's got a backpack of radio. I don't know. There's some radios here, and I was thinking about giving him some little aerials. So that's just something I've been thinking about doing, just to add a little bit more flavor to the battalion headquarters. But I also think it's really unnecessary. So, but there is definitely enough room for a die to be held right there for the battalion orders in O group. All right, let me show you some of the companies now. All right, this is the red, battalion. I like to make my combat patrols 3D, with figures and terrain and everything, so I can. I also mounted them on the 2-inch or 50 millimeter discs. I mounted these on the discs from War Bases. They're MDF. This is a Litco 1.5 for the company commander, and every base out here has 3 figures on it. And if you look closely at the backs of these figures, you'll see they're numbered 1, 2, and 3. And I use the red paint to kind of match with the red company. Each of these are considered platoons. So each of these stands are considered a squad in the game of O group. But even if that's the case, Each one of these squads would pretty much have the same equipment, the same, 10 to 12 guys or what have you. Uh, you might have two 12-man squads with a headquarters squad of like 7. So it comes out to about 10 men per squad. But what I did was I made each one of these rows basically a squad. So I gave each one a machine gun figure. I gave each, like, you got this guy carrying his machine gun at the waist. This guy's same thing. This guy's carrying it over his shoulder. Now there are 2 models of machine guns. This is the one that should be mounted on a tripod, and this is the one that should be mounted on a bipod, but that's okay. I just put machine guns on there, and everybody else is a rifleman, and there should be a couple of, there should be a Thompson, NCO in each group, and so if I ever wanted to just use these as figures in another game like Command Decision, this would be like a full battalion of 3 companies of 3 platoons. So just depending on how you want to scale it. Okay, let me pull out another company. All right, now these guys are based with black. And I came up with 3 colors. I came up with the tan, the black, and the red because I was thinking black for the 101st and red for the 82nd, and then tan just because it's D-Day and that's their uniforms. That just kind of gives me a color palette. Yeah, so these guys were all painted using my decomposed flesh from AK, was the main uniform color. And with the wash, it darkened it up just enough to make it look perfect. I think these uniforms are exactly the way they should be. You'll notice that the majority of them actually have their jump gloves on. The paratroopers wore their gloves even after the jump, and a lot of the forged in battle models did not have gloves on them, so I painted them with their flesh on their hands. So you'll see a mixture of gloves and not gloves. You'll also see a mixture of the green pads on their knees and elbows and not. Now I decided not to do any divisional patches, or the U.S. flag, but I did do some gas brossards on a few of them. There maybe 10 out of the entire battalion have the gas brossards. Those are like the shoulder. There's like a shoulder badge that they wore that would turn color if it was exposed to poisonous gas. So I've got a few of those on there as well. Yeah, they got majority of these figures are Flames of War. There are some of their soft plastic as well as some of their hard plastic. And through the construction of this battalion, I discovered that their hard plastic figures are just slightly smaller than their soft plastic figures. So, but yeah, I didn't mind. I intermixed them. So you would have a, because people are at different heights and sizes as well. So, and they're not so far off that it becomes noticeable. Plus, there are some forged in battle models out here as well. Like the 2 in the back here, I think are forged in battle, and I think that's the kneeling guy, I think, is a Flames of War model. You can kind of see a slight difference in size, but it's not really that noticeable. I don't really concern myself with it. Now, I returned to my old basing technique. I used the Knock Meadow, Spring Meadow static grass on top of the Vallejo earth texture. And I think that color, like you can see here, really good. I think that earth texture and the static grass comes out really good. And then I use some of my new, what do they call those? Tufts. And these are the lighter green tufts. And then some of these other like dark green tufts and clump foliages were taken from the old bases when I rebased them. I saved all those tufts, and now I reused them on these figures. All right, let's get the third and final company. All right, and this is the Tan company. In each of these platoons, you're going to see a machine gunner and a submachine gunner. There might be multiple submachine gunners because I did have quite a few extra submachine gunners, so I kind of intermix them as well. There's a few guys that are carrying carbines, like this guy with his hand up right there, but I threw them in there as well, because if this was an actual platoon, there would be an officer in a platoon. Maybe not so much, and a squad. Squads usually had like 2 carbines, maybe a few submachine guns, and the machine gun. The machine gun was introduced to the paratroopers to help combat against the MG42. We've got our company commander here, and then we've got our combat patrols. There. So that was the 3 companies. We got the red, the black, and the tan. Right, now these are the support elements that you can add to your companies. And I've decided to go with these prone guys to represent, and they're on tripods, by the way, to represent the medium machine guns. And then we've got 2 81mm mortars from Old Glory. There's an Old Glory Jeep here, and the FO, which also has a radio man, which I was also thinking about giving him an aerial. Now I have 2 more Jeeps from Forged in Battle, which are the radio Jeeps, and so I was thinking about using one of those for my FO. So this is going to get swapped out with an FO Jeep. And I've got the Airborne Reconnaissance Recon Platoon, which comes with 2 M20s and 2 Jeeps. I was thinking about taking that and painting those up for my anti-tank gun tow vehicles. All right, so we got our 2 81s. We got our 30 cals right here, air-cooled tripods. We have 3 bazookas here, 3 bazooka men, and then we got 3 60s, 60mm mortars. Now, in the airborne battalions, the 60mm mortars would have been added into the squads as an option. You would be able to purchase these and then add them into your platoons, so that won't be a problem. It's just assumed that they all, like bazookas as well, it's assumed that each of the platoons have their own bazookas and their own 60mm mortars. They're just not being displayed. It's just included in their firepower. And if they ever attack a tank or something like that, they can because they are considered to have those anti-tank weapons. They're just not displayed. These are dedicated platoon or dedicated bazooka and what do they call them? Tank hunter teams, and these are dedicated 60 millimeter mortar teams. Well, they have like a heavy weapons company, but they don't. It does not include a company commander. Not like the Germans have something called a comp group commander, where they can group all their support weapons into one company. I can't do that. All right, so we got our FO right there with temporarily a Jeep, machine guns. Now these 81 millimeter mortars are not needed on the table, but I'm going to put them on the table so that I can put an order marker next to them. Now you might notice that these guys are painted in my old style, and you can see how much darker that uniform is compared to the newer paint jobs. So I might actually go over these with some highlights to lighten those uniforms up. I even have, like, I'm noticing that I've got like a little red patch on his shoulder, making him an 82nd, because I was using it for the Lafier Bridge. But I think I need to go in and lighten these guys up, because these are correct. These are too dark. All right, and finally, we've got the field artillery, which in this case are just the PaK 75s. And these are the 57 millimeter anti-tank guns. Now, I could have used a medium-sized base instead of a large base for both of these. I was just wanting to make the base a little bit larger. I was thinking that the medium-sized base would make everything feel cramped and a little bit too tight. The large base allowed me to spread the guys out and just give the anti-tank gun and the artillery pieces enough room so that they would be contained inside the base and not like sticking out the end or the guys, standing on top of each other. So I decided to go with the large bases, and it doesn't really matter for the artillery pieces because they're all going to be off table anyway. And these are just tokens that you remove as you do your fire missions. They also came with their little case on there carrying their shells. These guys would be towed by Jeeps, but I don't need to put tows for my artillery pieces because, again, they're off table. But because these are support options that are actually on the table, they're supposed to have tow vehicles. So these guys still need 2 more Jeeps. Now, I've got a total of 3 Jeeps already, but they're not... They're kind of like, I think I painted them like U.S. Army and not with paratroopers. Which is perfectly fine because your Jeeps are coming out of your gliders anyway. But I just wanted to have some paratrooper Jeeps, or Jeeps that are transferred to the paratroopers or whatever. All right, and these 57s look really good, and 75s look really good. I'm very happy with the way all these models turned out and the way the basing turned out. Yeah, so I'm super excited. Now, before we close out this video, there's a couple of notes that I wanted to share with my about my update. I have not received my battle scale 10 mil bases yet. those are still pending in the mail, hopefully. So I'm waiting for those. And then once I get those, I'm going to start building some town sectors. But I could play with like felt town sectors with just temporary buildings placed on this felt to represent the built up areas. So I can play like that. I've got enough roads that, and if I don't, I can make them real quick to do a battle. And I've got trees and woods and fields. I've got enough terrain to put on the table, even if it's sparse, even if it's only like temporary or not beautiful looking, I can still get it up on the table. And then, so what I plan to do, and this is an update notice for you guys. What I plan to do is have a game this Saturday, right? So, well, not tomorrow, but next week. Okay, not the 14th or the 13th, not the 13th, the 20th. Okay, so the 20th of April, I plan to play a battle with my German Grenadiers against my U.S. paratroopers. I'm going to take a battle group scenario, the Lafir Bridge scenario. I'm going to, because I think it's kind of got a good mix of troops in it, I'm going to take that scenario and I'm going to convert it to a smaller scale. So we can play O group just as it's written with battalions against battalions, even though it's technically a company versus a company. So it's going to be like a scaled down version of O group, but the rules won't change. Nothing will change. The unit composition, 99% of it won't change. So I'm looking forward to cramming the rules this week into my head and then converting one of those battle group scenarios into an O group scenario at the wrong scale, but that's okay. At the wrong, not a battalion, but a company. And we're going to play it on Saturday. Now, am I going to... I'm going to solo play this. And so I'm going to be playing both the Germans and the Americans. Kind of like play testing, but also like a battle report. But it's not a report. It's going to be live. Now I'm thinking, okay, this is what I'm deciding. Is it going to be, I'm thinking I'm going to live stream it. It might be 3 to 4 hours of gameplay on the table. And I'm going to live stream it. So I'll put my camera up next to the table, and I'm not going to record it and then edit out all the downtime. I'm not going to do that. I thought about it. I thought about just recording it and then editing out all of the downtime, but I want to kind of show everyone how fast or how long a game actually takes real time. So I'm going to start, I don't know, around 10 or 11, something like. I'm look forward on my schedule, but I'm thinking it's going to be like 10 or 11, and then we'll play till like 3 o'clock or something like that, and then I'll give an after action review, how well the rules worked. Did it work with the converted scale? Did it not work? And there's going to be some, not proxies, but there's going to be some imagination needing to be used, because I'm not going to create a battlefield with the causeway and the slopes and the but I will have a causeway. It just won't be elevated. And then and there will be the difficult ground between the paratroopers and the Germans, and we're going to play on a 4x6 table, and we're going to be able to knock this out. So now that I've got the Americans done, or 99% done, and enough terrain to just do it, that's what we're going to do. So next Saturday, tune in around noon, maybe 10, maybe 11. I'm not sure. Check my schedule. And we'll do a live playthrough of Lafayette Bridge as more of a test of concept to see if I can take scenarios and downscale them. Because I've got a ton of scenarios. I mean, 50 or 60 scenarios that are based at the company level, and not very many. I've got a handful, maybe a dozen, that are based on the battalion level. So I really want to see if I can do that. Oh yes, and I also decided that I was going to make my own tokens. I've decided that I'm going to use a rectangular token, and I'm going to put a 1 on one end and a 2 on the other end, so that so you can have 1 shock or 2 shock, and then on the flip side of the token, it'll say suppressed, which is basically your 3rd shock, right? So you're going to have a 1 on one end, a 2 on the other end, and then a 3 suppressed on the backside. And the backside, I think I'm going to paint red to simulate the suppressed. I think I'm going to paint the 1 and the 2 with yellow to kind of just give me that yellow and red. And then, so when you need to apply shock to a platoon, you can lay it facing, one facing the figures. So 1, or flip it around and have it as a 2 for the, once it goes up. So those I need to make. I need to make also order counters, because, as you roll your dice, you get orders. Now, I don't have to do that, because what I'm going to use is bolt action order dice. Those order dice are just going to be order tokens. So when a unit is given an order, I'll just put an order die next to them. And as your battalion collects orders, it'll collect these dice, and that's how many orders you'll have for your turn. So that won't be a problem. I'll have to look at some of the other counters and tokens to see, like hesitant, and I'm not sure what some of the other tokens might be that I'm going to need. But hesitant, I can use a glass bead, or I could create an actual rectangle that says hesitant on one side or both sides. Yeah, so I'm going to go through all the markers. Plus there is something called smoke. So artillery pieces, when you do your fire missions, you can lay smoke, and they're 6 inches wide. So I was thinking about making a 6-inch template and then just putting a bunch of cotton balls, making a smoke template, 1 per side, or 2 or 3. I'm not sure how many would be needed for a game, but and that's something we can determine with this proof of concept. So there will be an option to fire smoke. Yeah, I'm not sure what the other tokens I might need. That might be all I need. The smoke I don't need to make. I can just get some cotton balls and just stretch it out to 6 inch, put like 6 little cotton balls out there to represent smoke or something. But a lot of times I like to make my smoke look remarkable. So I might make some smoke templates, I'm not sure. And for knocked out tanks, I'm just going to use the bolt action flame templates or the smoke templates, the tank damage control markers or whatever they're called. I have a ton of those for bolt action. So why not just use those? I've got enough dice to do everything. I've got enough rulers to do everything. Everything's good. I'm good to go. So Saturday, 10, 11, 12, somewhere around there, we're going to have a battle, the Fear Bridge. It's going to be solo. I'm going to live stream it. So tune in and watch. Now, when it's done being live streamed, it'll be on my channel. So you can always come back and watch it later. You can fast forward if you want. But with it being live, you can chat with me while I'm streaming it. And I have been considering maybe in the future having like a play by Discord kind of game where we could get a couple of people on Discord, and then they could direct the troops from the camera. They're watching on Discord the activity. They can guide me on where to move the troops and how to deploy them, and I will actually do all the moving and rolling of the dice. So I've thought about that as well, but that's not going to be this Saturday, the 20th. All right, thanks for coming out and checking this out. I hope this gets you caught up on what my updates are. I'm still looking for the battle scale stuff so I can build me some built-up areas. But I've got hedges and fences and fields and woods that I need to finalize for the game. I have a ton of fences. I've got a ton of bocage. I've got a ton of hedges, but they all seem to be like manicured. I need to make some wild stuff. All right, I'll catch you in the next one.